This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story.
Live from headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio. This is The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm Christy Wright, and joining me today is my good friend, Ken Coleman. He's a #1 best-selling author, host of The Ken Coleman Show, and career expert. And this is exciting, Ken, because we were just talking before we went live that you and I have not hosted together in a really long time.
It's been a long time.
But what I love about this hour that we get to host together is you and I are kindred spirits when it comes to helping people find their purpose.
Yes.
You do it in the career space. I do it in the business space. Yeah. And we come together a lot, like EntreLeadership events and that type of thing. So, America, if you're listening right now and you have a question about your purpose, your career, a job change, maybe some opportunities you have in front of you, if you're looking for what's next for you, trying to discern what the best decision is. Maybe you've got an itch to do something new and you're not sure if that new thing is a business or a career move. Maybe you are in a life transition. Your kids just went to school or they're going off to school for the first time. Maybe you're an empty nester and you're looking for, hey, what's next for me? Give us a call, 888-825-5225. That's 888-825-5225, and we are here answering your calls, always about money. But today is special because Ken and I are experts in the career and business space, and we would love to help you figure out what your purpose is.
And if you're just struggling, you got all these dreams and everything you're talking about, and you're just like, how do I balance it all? How do I deal with all the spinning plates? Yeah. Now, I'm the professional plate spinner who doesn't do it well. Christy could help you, and I can commiserate with you. The new book, available for pre-sale, Take Back Your Time, The Guilt-Free Guide to Life Balance. Oh, we could take those questions as well. Yes. You might just tease a little bit of the content in your answers, yes?
Yes, totally.
Let me do this.
Okay, let's talk about...
Here we go. Where are the guys in the back? Can we zoom in? Can we zoom? Look at this cover. This is gorgeous. There it is. It's on the bottom of the screen. Look at you right there. Shoes off, very happy. But I know how frenetic your life actually is because I know your hubs and I know your awesome two boys and that little princess. Yeah. You don't always look like this or feel like this.
That is a large team that made me look like that.
No, but you look fat. But my point is, this is a balanced, rested, but you know how to get there.
Okay, so let's talk about it because actually I think that's... it's such a pain point for people, Ken. Men, women, kids, no kids, doesn't matter. Everyone struggles with it in different ways. And you make a good point. I'm in the season of littles. You've got 3 kids, but they're a little older than mine. I'm in the trenches. And
yours is insanity right now.
Yeah, and I started seminary 3 weeks ago, which is like...
Oh, sure. We'll just add that.
Just a small thing. So I'm actually living this out while teaching it. But I wanted to bring up something for you. Because I mentioned this before we went live, and I didn't even know if you knew this, but I talk about you in this book.
Is it good? Do you talk about me good?
It is good. Okay, it is good. But I want to set it up because here's why. The thesis of the whole book is life balance isn't doing everything for an equal amount of time.
No.
It's about doing the right things at the right time.
Very well said.
So you've heard me talk about this at Summit, but one of the things that gets in the way of our ability to be balanced and do the right things at the right time is we do the wrong things. Yeah. And so when I walk people through this path and building a schedule and so on, I actually make some notes in there. If when you're creating your ideal schedule and you're putting those things that we identified were important to you on your calendar, you realize you're putting something on your calendar that you do not love, is not important, does not bring you joy, does not give you purpose. Like, let's say your job. Yeah. And you spend 40 hours a week at this thing you hate, you're never going to feel balanced because it doesn't matter if you perfectly micromanage your calendar. If you spend a large portion of your time on something you hate, of course you're not going to feel balanced. So talk about what you see when you're coaching people and helping people, how their career choice, how their job affects so many other areas of their life, because it does.
It does. So let's take that question and let's just add one other little nuance. It doesn't have to be a job that you hate, but it also could be a job that is just kind of, it's kind of okay. It's a job. You don't hate it, but you have no juice for it. And to answer your question, Christy, here's what happens. When you spend, and let's just say minimum 40 hours a week, but even in a part-time job, that you don't love the work and the work itself doesn't create a result that fires your heart up. So that's passion and mission. When you don't have that, here's what happens. You can't feel anything. over time you become a zombie. You don't have any feeling. Your heart gets
You're kind of like sleepwalking.
You're just like,
life.
oh, this is something I've got to do.
Yeah.
And this is why Sunday nights are full of depression and anxiety. It's why Monday morning is so difficult for people to get out of bed. So to answer your question, you don't feel much of anything, and you won't feel like you're doing much of anything, which is not true. You're still valuable. It may not be a job that you love. It may not be a job that you even like, but you're still doing something and you matter. But here's what happens. When we don't see significance in our work, Christy, what happens is the slippery slope is my job doesn't matter to me. That's where it starts. Then it goes into, maybe I don't matter.
That's dangerous.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And the reality is you do matter, whether you're working on purpose or not. But that is absolutely a great question. And listen, we know this, that men specifically, but certainly women too, but men big time, put so much self-worth into your work. And where's that coming from? Is that misguided? No. Somewhere along the line, every human being, Christy, asks the question, what should I do with my life? Nobody has to teach us that. Just like we don't have to teach toddlers to say no.
It just comes
Where's
right
that
out
come
of them.
from?
That's right.
You and I believe. That's why you're in seminary.
Yeah.
You're in seminary to dive deeper on this.
Yeah.
You and I believe that Genesis chapter 2 makes it pretty clear that the creator of the universe wants us to work.
Yeah.
So I say on the Ken Coleman Show, you were created to contribute.
Yeah.
If we take the word work out of that sentence, you were created to work. Huh? If I tell you were created to contribute, people go, that's true.
Yeah.
And so there is purpose in your work. There's purpose in your business.
So speak to the person that does not believe that that work could matter. And what I mean by that is they've worked a job so long, it's hard for them to believe that something more is possible. They're like, I thought this is what it is. This is what you do. Speak into some hope into them that you could actually go to work and get excited on Monday and love what you do, like you and I do, by the way.
I would just take that person, I would say at some point in your life, whether as a student, a high school or a college kid, or maybe in one job, one afternoon, you did a task that you really enjoyed.
Yeah. Surely. I hope
well,
you have.
I know that's true. Even if they've never experienced that at work, I can tell you this.
Yeah.
There was a subject matter in school.
Yeah, something that made them light up.
There was an intrinsic motivation there. And so that's the idea behind mission. When I say results that matter, that's mission. That comes from an intrinsic, I do it because I want to. And the idea is that there's work that we all look forward to. When you and I get a chance to broadcast or speak or write, we look forward to it. There's high emotion in anticipation and then in the middle of it. Then there's high devotion. When we don't feel good, when we're frustrated, we keep doing it. We suffer for it. That's passion. Don't tell me that doesn't exist for you. It's not true. If you're saying that, you just haven't tasted it yet.
So good. Ken Coleman and I'm Christy Wright. We're taking your calls. 888-825-5225 about career, business, life, and of course, always money. This is The Ramsey Show.
What makes our show unique is that we genuinely care about our listeners. We're intentional about choosing the best advertisers to recommend. Blinds.com is no exception. They offer high-quality window treatments at unbelievable prices, and they make it simple to shop blinds, shades, and interior shutters with easy online ordering, free shipping, and a guaranteed perfect fit. Go to Blinds.com and take advantage of this week's special savings.
And my good friend, Ken Coleman. He is also, in case you didn't know, a career expert He has a best-selling book called The Proximity Principle. And we are celebrating my new book in pre-sale this week, which is called Take Back Your Time, The Guilt-Free Guide to Life Balance. So we are here for you, America, to answer your calls, whether it's about career decisions, starting a side business, time management, and as always, money. Give us a call, 888-825-5225. And we're going to go ahead and go to Baltimore with Cindy. Hey, Cindy, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. How can Ken and I help today?
So I'm sort of talking to my fiance. He has a job opportunity in California. We currently live in Maryland, and we just bought a house a few months ago. So it's a pretty big decision, and I'm just sort of looking for some advice. I'm not sure if financially it makes sense. I can work online and keep my job. He'll be making maybe a few thousand more, but not as comparable as the cost of living from Maryland to California. So I guess I'm just looking for some advice.
Well, let's start with, where's he leaning on this? It feels like he's leaning toward wanting to do it. Is that true or false?
I think that's true, yeah.
Yeah. So why? It's clearly not the $2,000. That's not, it's money. The current money certainly is not the motivator. What's the motivator for this move?
Mm-hmm. So I think he thinks it'll be more fulfilling, that job, because right now he's in the Air Force and he works for, he does his job, but he has an opportunity where he can stay in and go over there and teach what he does. And I think he would find that a little more fulfilling than what he currently does.
Okay. So he's not on the phone calling us. You are.
Yeah.
And I know you said you want our advice, and, well, Christy and I never shy up for giving advice, but I think there's something deeper here. Is it truly the money thing? Because, hey, we just bought a house, which, you guys aren't even married yet. Is there an actual date on the calendar? And then is he as concerned about the cost of living as you? I mean, let's go deeper here. I want to know where you two aren't on the same page. But first, when are we getting married?
May 6th of next year. We've already put the deposit down on the venue. We're doing tasting with the caterer next week.
Okay.
So it's coming together.
Is that in Baltimore?
Actually in Virginia.
In Virginia.
Like a little winery.
Okay. And how long ago did you buy the house?
In May.
Okay. So
really recent.
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay. So where are we not on the same page? Lay it out for Christy and I, please.
Okay. I think I really like living in a house. We have a backyard. We have a dog. We just let him out. It's fun to hang out. And this is where my family is. Mm-hmm. His family's on the West Coast in California, Utah, and Arizona. So I think I would miss being near my family, as well as sort of the quality of having a house and a backyard. Whereas over there, we could afford an apartment.
Yep. Okay. So I'm going to let Christy weigh in a second. I'm going to tell you real quick because it's pretty simple to me.
Okay.
This is not a professional decision. The professional decision is easy. If it were a professional decision, I would say, yep, he needs to do it. Because he absolutely has found something that I think he's pretty passionate about, the way you described it. He wants to go out there and teach. Yeah. He sees an opportunity for a ladder as well, not just a $2,000 bump, but ultimately a ladder, but really to do the work that he really loves to do. And he can stay in the service, but do something he really enjoys. The professional answer is really easy. This is a relational issue. Here's the deal. His family's on the West Coast, and this is an opportunity for him to pursue work that he loves. Ding, 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 ding for him. Your family's still in Baltimore or wherever you are on the East Coast, and you just bought this house, and it's got a nice backyard and all the things, okay? It's a nest for you. You've already fallen in love with this nest. So this is a relationship issue. I do not have a direct answer. I'll tell you that I think you two have got to come together, and we've got to sit down and go, what's going on here? What's the big picture? We're about to get married in May. That means we come together, and each of us have our own dreams and desires, and they've got to come together. And only in relationship and commitment, and then somebody's sacrificing at different times, and you two have got to figure this out. This is a sit down, and it's a big picture situation. I'm not going to tell you what you should do because I can't. Christy?
Question, follow up there. Cindy, do y'all, how far is your family?
My family's 20 minutes away.
Okay. Are y'all planning to have kids? Have y'all talked about that?
Yeah, we have. We were thinking maybe like a year after getting married.
Okay. Ken is absolutely right that this is a relationship question, because there are implications, a domino effect down the line. For example, if you're the one that has an online job and then you take care of these kids in the future, then to have your mom or dad close by, like there's such a ripple effect that will affect you, that you guys need to talk through all of those scenarios. But here's what I like to do, Cindy. I don't like either or situations where I feel like I have two not great options or two options that nobody feels 100% on. I like to come up with as many options as possible. And I would just challenge you and your spouse to look for something locally that he can do that gives him more purpose and fulfillment, because the only place that he can do something with more purpose is not California.
That's right.
There's ways for him to do what he wants to do closer to where you are now, staying in the home you just bought, close to your family, especially should you have kids in the future and you want to stay there. But Cindy, I want you to stay on the line, because we have an awesome live stream event tonight called Money and Marriage with Dr. John Deloney and our good friend Rachel Cruz. And they are literally talking about these two things. They're talking about money and marriage. And that is what you're calling in for, Cindy. So stay on the line. Kelly will get you a ticket. You and your spouse or fiance watch this together. And I bet that will give you such great jumping off points for conversations around how to talk about this big decision that you have. Great question. Thanks for calling. All right, we're going to go to Logan, Utah with Aubrey. Hey, Aubrey, how's it going?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. How can Ken and I help today?
So my husband is just getting out of school, and we don't have any debt, and we're on 3B basically. And I want to start a side job or business.
Talk right into your phone so we can hear you, Aubrey.
I'm sorry. I want to start a side job or business to try and speed up the process for saving up for the house. But we have 2 young children, and I'm concerned about the balance of taking care of the kids, but still trying to win financially.
What's the business?
So I want to get into being a financial coach.
Oh.
With you guys, take the Ramsey class.
Cool. Okay. What are the ages of your kids?
2.5 and 7 months.
Oh. Little bitty ones. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, well, Aubrey, I think that's awesome. You definitely can start a side business from home, whether that's being a financial coach or otherwise. The thing that you need to think through, if you are not putting your kids in any kind of, preschool or childcare, that type of thing at this stage, is how can you accommodate their nap times, their rhythms, their schedule, where you work on the business during those times. And I know it's not perfect and ideal, but if you set some goals around that and you say, okay, I'm going to, wake up at this time, work on it these hours, or work on it during nap time or after they go to bed, then you can carve out some hours in a week to work on it and set some goals around that. Obviously, if you decide to go the financial coach route, there's going to be some training certification that goes with that as well. But I'll tell you, this challenge of balancing all the things you want to do is exactly why I wrote my new book, Take Back Your Time, The Guilt-Free Guide to Life Balance, because it's not bad to have so many interests. It's just that we need to decide what is right now. And what's right now for you might be just taking care of those kids. And what's right now might be starting a business, but only you can figure that out when you start digging into what your top priorities are. So if you'll stay on the line, again, I will have Kelly get you a pre-order copy of the book. It will ship to you whenever it is actually available on September 14th. And you'll have a copy of my new book, Take Back Your Time, The Guilt-Free Guide to Life Balance, to help you discern what is right for you right now. This is The Ramsey Show. right. And joining me today is Ken Coleman, #1 best-selling author, host of The Ken Coleman Show. And The Ken Coleman Show is available every weekday on Sirius XM, your local radio station, and wherever you listen to podcasts. I also have a show, The Christy Wright Show, every Tuesday on YouTube. And again, wherever you listen to podcasts. Here at Ramsey Solutions, we are all about giving you life transformative tips and information to bring you hope, to help you get control of your money, pursue your purpose, take control of your time, and just have a better life. Ken and I are answering your questions today. 888-825-5225. We are here for you. So if you have a question about your career, a job change, a side business, small business, leadership, time management, and of course, always money. And it's amazing how money affects all of those things. And time does as well. In fact, give us a call. That's 888-825-5225, and we will take your call. We're going to go to Charlotte, North Carolina with Tom. Hey, Tom, how are you?
Hey, Christy, hold on. Let me get you off the speaker.
Okay.
Okay, there
how can we
you
help?
go. So I called Ken about a month and a half ago. And, Ken, I don't know if you remember, I'm visually impaired and getting ready to make a move to Ohio. Mm-hmm. And so when you and I talked about taking some business courses, and you had told me I needed to get a lot clearer. So in the process of that, I'm working with a real estate agent in the area who I don't feel understands my needs as a visually impaired person. My car payment has been and always will be $0 a month since I don't own a car.
Oh, okay.
Right. That's due to being visually impaired. You wouldn't want me on the road.
No. So, Tom, refresh me really quick. How bad is the visual impairment?
I mean, I can see enough to get from point A to point B, but again, you wouldn't want me on the road.
No, I get that. I'm talking about if you're talking to a real estate agent who doesn't understand your needs. Since I sent you back to get more clear on what you really want to do, you're looking into real estate. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
So wanting to sell homes, correct? List
correct.
Homes. All right. How would your visual impairment, let's just say that Stacy and I signed you up and we said, hey, we want to list our house. How would your visual impairment affect your ability to list our house, sell our house, show the house, the whole deal?
Other than that I can't drive, I don't know of any way that it would. Okay.
So what's the question and what does it have to do with this real estate agent?
Because I'm visually impaired, the location has a deeper meaning in that I need to be where things are walkable and that I have access to bus transportation.
Okay. So you're calling us from Charlotte, North Carolina, where there's public transportation and the city of Charlotte, I'm guessing pretty hot and popping like Nashville and Atlanta. True or false?
That would be true.
Okay, so hit Christy and I. What's the question? How can we help?
Where would I begin? Of course, I need to get licensed and all that good stuff.
You just answered your own question. Well, so you need to get licensed. All right, so let's go actually get qualified. And again, I know it was a month and a half ago, but I talked to a lot of people. If you really feel like real estate is in that sweet spot where you've got the talent for it, you really enjoy the work. This is a people-driven type of work. This is all communication. There's details and research and all that. And then the result of that work is obviously, we're talking about fulfilling people's dreams, comfort, safety, all the things that come with a home purchase. If this is in fact in your sweet spot, then it's about really talking to a couple more real estate agents. I know you've not had a good experience with this one you called us about, but clarifying and verifying, yep, I know everything that goes into this. I absolutely want to do this. If in fact that's where we stand, and I'm assuming that's the case, since you've listened to my show and you've called me before, then you've got to go get qualified. And so you've got to get the licensing. And then while you're doing that, you want to make the connections to where you get with a good broker, somebody who understands your limitations, but does not see limitations for you in your career and your ability to sell. That's what we're talking about here. And if you do that, I mean, at the end of the day, there's nobody stopping you from being successful in real estate other than you.
Understood.
I want to give you one thing, Tom, to do. I want to give you one thing to jump in and add to what Ken said, because he's exactly right. But I want to give you one thing to do as a part of it. Like when he was talking about getting clear, assuming you're clear, but let's just take one more step I'd love to insert there. So I don't know if you're like this, Tom, but sometimes I'll have ideas of things I want to do, and what I think it's going to be and then what it actually is are two different things. So I would just challenge you to, and Ken talks about this a lot in his book, Proximity Principle, but get connected with agents in your area and volunteer to shadow them, interview them, intern with them, be their admin help, just be in their presence and volunteer to do anything that you can, because here's what that's going to do. It's going to give you a taste of the real day-to-day, not in theory what you think this job is. And I think in your situation, being visually impaired, that will be that much more important, because there may be some aspect of this day-to-day that is actually more difficult for you or less enjoyable for you than you think it's going to be. It will just help you get that extra layer of clarity before you go get licensed and spend that money and make that commitment. So I would just challenge you, make some connections. Ken, can we send him your book? Can we give him your proximity principle?
Yeah, hang on the line. We'll get it to you. I mean, he's really begun that step, which is huge. And he's got to just, that clarify and verify is exactly what you're just talking about, where we run this thing the day in, day out, the good parts, the bad parts. We run it through our head. That's the logic. That's the clarify. And then our heart is going to verify. It's either going to be those, the classic X's on Family Feud, or it's going to go ding, ding, ding. And so let the brain do what it's supposed to do, which is logically process information, and let the heart do what it's supposed to do to verify. Yeah, if this is like a tuning fork going off in your chest, Tom, then we do it. But I'm going to challenge you one other thing here. I heard the voice of doubt all over you. And many times when we get to a place where we go, okay, I know I want to do this thing, but this is a whole new thing, Christy. It is very natural to feel fear and doubt. And fear and doubt protect us sometimes. But many times they'll lie to us and hold us back. And the very thing, well, I've got to be in an area where I can walk and show homes, or at least get transportation. And again, sure, but that's not going to limit you in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's many times right on the precipice of stepping out, folks, your head will try to talk you out of it by coming up with all the reasons why it might be difficult. I got news for you. It's going to be difficult. You don't need to manufacture reasons. Anytime we start and do something, there's going to be difficulties, and I can promise you this, there's going to be failure on the way to success. So let's not overthink this. Let the heart guide and decide, and then move. Do it.
It's so interesting, too, because I think that sometimes, Ken, and I had this example in college. I remember in college, I've told the story before, but I thought I wanted to be an event planner, because I was like, I like parties. I like to celebrate. I'm good at, I'm good at hosting things. And so I told my mom that. I was like, yeah, I think that's what I want to do. I had a business degree, but I was like, I think I want to be an event planner. And my mom said, which was very wise at the time, she said, Christy, I want you to think about what that really is. Yeah. You're thinking, I party for work. That sounds awesome. Yeah. I plan balloon arches.
Party's your middle name.
Sounds fantastic.
Sure.
And she said, okay, the reality of that career path is nights and weekends and holidays, because that's when people have parties. That one statement helped me reframe, do I really want to do this? Because sometimes we think this is what it's going to be. And real estate is just like that. It is often showings on evenings, showings on weekends, depending on, Tom's family or other responsibilities. So for anybody listening, if you want to do something, ask people doing it. You'll get the real story of the day-to-day, the good, the bad, the ugly, and then you can decide with more clarity and more accuracy if you still want to pursue that path. If you do, cool. If you don't, we just saved you from spending a lot of money and time going down a path that you actually didn't want to end up going down. This is The Ramsey Show. Joining me for one more segment today is Ken Coleman, and we're taking your calls about life, money, career, business, purpose, whatever you want to talk about. We are here for you, 888-825-5225. And we're going to go to LA with Aaron. Hey, Aaron, how's it going?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Ken. Thank you so much for having me on.
Sure. How's it going? What can we do?
Man, I am in a pickle.
Let's have it.
I moved from Nashville, not too far from the studio, actually to LA, moving in with my mother-in-law, with my beautiful bride and my newborn. And since having our son, I have had a hard time finding work-life balance. It is so suffocating being out 12 hours a day and then obviously helping out with the newborn when I can. But my question to you is, how do you, as you go through baby steps 2, which we're currently doing, how do you have shift between the mindset of gazelle mentality and working your face off, which my wife and I have no problem doing, versus making sure you don't burn out and have a quality of life? Because it's impossible to do. Seems like it's impossible to do both.
Yeah. I love this question, Aaron, and I love how you asked it, because I think a lot of people feel unnecessary pressure to have this perfect balance. And Ken and I were just talking about this a little bit ago. We have this idea that life balance is a 50-50 split, which is not realistic or desirable. We think it's doing everything for an equal amount of time, and that's not realistic either. So really what I like to tell people and teach people, and I want to walk you through this, Aaron, is that life balance is not doing everything for an equal amount of time. It's about doing the right things at the right time. And only you can decide what those right things are. Now, because you have a newborn, that obviously is a major factor in how you feel right now. One of the things I actually lay out in my book, Aaron, is that sometimes we have feelings that make us feel like our whole life is out of whack, but it's just a feeling. For example, being tired. Sometimes when you're tired, you feel like your whole world is upside down, and you get 8 hours of sleep, you're like, okay, I am okay. It's hard to accurately assess how you're doing or what you need to do in your life when you're tired or when you're stressed or when you're overwhelmed. And I'll walk through those in my book. But in your specific instance, what I think would be really helpful for you to do is to sit down with your spouse and identify what are your top priorities in this season. I can probably guess some of them. When you said you're on baby step 2, you're gazelle intense, that's going to be a top priority for you. Taking care of your newborn, what that looks like for you or for her, or who's taking the majority of the responsibilities. But when you put on paper what your top priorities are, it gives you permission to say no to everything else. It gives you permission to say, you know what, maybe I'm not working out, maybe I'm not seeing my friends, maybe my house is not clean because I'm in a season of a newborn and I'm gazelle intense. Maybe I'm not going out and spending money out here or doing this. It's not about doing everything for an equal amount of time. It's about doing the right things at the right time. What's right for you right now, when you figure out what that is, it allows you to say no to everything that it's not, and it also helps you shake the guilt that comes from, oh, I'm failing. You're not failing. You just need to ask yourself, what's right now? I'm in a similar seat with you, Aaron, with work. I'm going into a very busy work season. I'm launching this book. I'm going to be on the road. I'm going to be traveling. If you looked at my life as this one snapshot and say, oh, that's very out of balance. Yeah, if your version of balance is everything for an equal amount of time. But if it's doing the right things at the right time, then I am balanced, and you are too. So I just want to encourage you to sit down with your spouse, write down what are your top 3 to 5 priorities. 3 to 5, not 35, 3 to 5, in order of importance. And then you make decisions on how you spend your time according to that. But when you're tired, because you will be, because you have a newborn and you're working your tail off at this job and to pay off your debt, just know, tired, this is a season. Now, you don't need to be tired for 5 years. But if you're tired in this season, it doesn't mean your whole world's out of balance. It just means what you're doing right now is in a tiring season. Does that make sense?
Aaron.
Absolutely. I mean, you're preaching to the choir. Yeah, Ken.
Aaron, why are you working 12 hours? Why are you working so hard? There's a reason. You're gazelle intense. What's the other side of this? Chrissy's right. When you do that priority exercise, you got to allow your heart to realize what's really going on. Your brain's telling you you're exhausted. She's absolutely right. You're going to get bone tired. You're going to get frustrated. Your heart's going to miss the little one when you're working that extra shift. when Christy tells you to work those priorities, she's leading your heart back to the top of this list here where the heart goes, okay, I'm doing this. I'm working 12 hours because of this, because of this, because of this. It's a desired future. Those priorities are the why. Do you hear what I'm saying, Aaron?
You guys are preaching to the choir. I mean, my family's my everything. Seeing my son grow up, seeing him 1 hour a day.
Yeah, I know.
Feeling like he's doubling in weight every second.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's a gift, and it's the worst feeling in the world, not having him close by and not being with family. But
I hear you.
What do you do, Aaron?
I do it for.
Let me share something with you real quick, Aaron. So, your son has no clue. He has no concept of time right now. That's the great news about this. That's a super practical thing.
This is actually the best time for you to work your tail off.
Yeah, it's not going to change how your heart feels. So I don't want to be glib, and I don't want anybody in the audience to think, well, Ken, you're simple. No. I'm saying your heart's still going to hurt. But if you realize your kid's not going to resent you, and those tears that you're crying for your son, man, that's why you're doing this. And he doesn't know. He has no difference. But he doesn't know the difference between 1 minute and 10 minutes.
What do you do, Aaron? What's your job?
So I'm currently I've hopped around since COVID with different sales jobs, which is not what I'll be doing forever. It's not my passion in life. But right now I'm doing solar in California because it's a great market and it's a growing company. So it makes a lot of sense for the time being.
How much longer till you're debt free?
So it looks like, based on the trend, we've got about another $30,000 left in my student loan. So should be done in five or 6 months.
5 or 6 months, Aaron?
Dude, come on.
5 or 6 months.
Come on, man.
5 or 6 months. 5 or 6 months. You can do this. Listen, you are not a bad dad.
No.
You are doing a great job. You're doing what's right now.
Yep.
You are busting it to get out of debt for your family, for your son, for your future.
Yep.
And you're going to have some more freedom, options, flexibility, and oh, by the way, time and money when you're on the other side of this. You're doing great.
Yep.
You're doing so much better than you think you are. I'm actually really, really, really proud of you. You're doing the right things right now, and so many other people are making excuses, sitting on their hands and sitting around complaining, and you're not.
Yep.
You're out there doing what's best for your family. I'm actually really proud of you. I know you call in feeling like you're failing. Yeah, I disagree. I think you're doing a great job. Ken, I think you and I, yours are a little bit older now, older than mine, but even Carter, who's 6, it's harder to leave him now than when he was a newborn.
For sure.
Because he didn't know.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take away that.
No, the pain's still there.
The pain's still there.
We're trying to deal with the guilt.
Yes. And if you can remind yourself, like, for example, I was in California, actually, launching Business Boutique for pre-sale on January 31st, 2017. And that is Carter's 2nd birthday. And I remember sitting backstage in the green room with my mic on, tears streaming down my face that I wasn't there at his 2nd birthday. Now, did I celebrate his birthday and we had a party the weekend before? Yes.
Absolutely.
Does he remember that day? No.
Does
it mean I'm a bad mom? No.
He knows how much you love him.
And
that boy wants for nothing when it comes to love. I mean, it's phenomenal.
But as a parent,
you
still feel that pull. But I think it's so good to remind yourself, just like you said, Ken, the why. Now, if someone's listening right now and you're just a workaholic and you've been a workaholic for 2 decades and you don't know your kids' names, we're not talking to you.
Yeah.
You got your priorities probably mixed up a little bit.
By the way, when I asked Aaron why he works 12 hours a day and he was quiet, you and I have done this long enough to know he wasn't stumped. He was trying not to cry.
Yes.
And then he started crying. And so I want to point out that there are other people that are in the journey right now. They're in the middle of the debt snowball, or maybe they're early on in the debt snowball, or maybe they're towards the end of it. And they just feel like they can't go another 60-hour week or a 12-hour shift. If your why is reestablished, you got to know why I'm going so hard. And when you can reestablish, and Aaron, we got back to his heart right there. He's got this. 5 to 6 months going to go like yesterday.
That's
good
awesome.
Stuff.
Well done, Aaron. Well, I want to thank my co-hosts for this hour, Ken Coleman. I want to thank producer James Childs, associate producer Kelly Daniel, and you, America, for joining us. This is The Ramsey Show.
have a friend or family member that needs a daily dose of Ramsey advice in their life? Let them know about the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast. It's a quick hit of advice about life and money in under 10 minutes. Check out the Ramsey Call of the Day podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio, this is The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm Christy Wright. I am an author of Business Boutique and author of the new book, Take Back Your Time, that we are celebrating today. And joining me today for the next 2 hours is my good friend, Dr. John Deloney, host of the Dr. John Deloney Show, and also author of Redefining Anxiety. So we are here to take your calls about anything you want to talk about. Money, life, relationships,
your marriage,
time management. Hey, marriage.
Your friends.
Speaking of marriage and money, tonight.
You are the best at.
How are you feeling about it?
You are the just awesome. It's going to be so fun, man. Anytime you can hang out with Rachel and all that crew, it's a blast.
Well, not only that, but like, I can't tell you how many people I have, and you just hear this in conversation. It's so normal to complain about something you struggle with in your marriage, but then we don't do anything to fix it, really. And tonight is such an opportunity for people to come together. I just talked to someone in the last hour, and it was literally a marriage question.
Yeah.
And we said, hey, we're going to give you a ticket to this event tonight. You, and it was her fiance, come together, watch this live stream event, and it will give you conversation starters for maybe some of the things that you're struggling with.
Thank you for transitioning to that pitch. That was really good. That was awesome.
It's very natural.
And let me ask you this question. So you deal with people, you have for years, you've coached people trying to start businesses. They got an idea, but they just won't do it. And one of the things that I hear you say a lot is you're never, just go, just start, just get in there. I wonder if, and I've never had this conversation with you, I wonder if there is a similar train of thought as to why people know their marriage isn't great. They know things are struggling. They know I don't feel right, but I'm just not going to do anything about it. And you look up and it's 3 years later, it's 5 years later, it's 7 years later. I wonder if there's a similar trajectory there. Why do people tell you at the end of the day they don't start that business? They don't try that side hustle. Why do they not do those things?
I think with business, my hunch is it's much more fear-based. I'm scared of putting myself out there. Whereas in marriage, at least, anything that Matt and I have, if we've gone through tough seasons, it is by degrees. It's so gradual. I mean, when you're, a newlywed, everything's exciting and new and easy. And then it gets hard and you have kids and it gets harder and you're tired and grouchy. It's so incremental that things might get hard. And I think that it almost happens so gradually a lot of times that, you don't even notice it's happening. And then you look up one day and you just accept it as the new normal. Like, well, this is how we interact, or this is as good as it gets. I remember when Matt and I were newlyweds, we were in this small group at church, and someone older had recommended this marriage book. It was like a Christian faith-based marriage book, and we read it, and it's like 5-star reviews. I mean, it's just like a hugely successful book. And we didn't relate at all, because it was literally talking to people that like don't like each other. We're like, we love each other.
It will always be this way.
We will never talk. We will never think about each other. That's so mean. And then it's like 3 a.m, and your child has like peed in the bed, and you're like, like you're screaming at each other and you're like, this is not who I want to be. So I think it just happens so gradually. And then you start to like kind of accept it as normal. But what I love about stuff like what you guys are doing tonight, or really successful marriage books, anything like that, a podcast, wherever you get help, is that when you have an outside perspective, it can literally breathe new life into your relationship.
There's something about that social norming where you realize, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Or we're not broken, or we may just be dysfunctioning, but we're not forever stuck on this trajectory.
Yeah.
Here's the goal for tonight. I'm going to say some things. Rachel's going to say some things that I know one of you two on that couch is thinking. I'm going to say it.
Everybody's going to be elbowing each other.
Rachel's going to put it out. We're going to put it out into the universe, and we're going to tee it up for you. And it's like a giant red ball on a tee. All you got to do is just hit it, right? And that's the goal, right? How can we help facilitate folks to look at each other and be like, can we just, I mean, he said it, let's just try it, right?
Yeah.
We're going to be there.
Well, another thing I would say is, if you attend the event tonight, if you're listening and you're like, oh, I really want to go, but I'm scared my spouse won't want to go. It doesn't mean your marriage is broken. It doesn't even mean something's wrong. It's like, this can be a proactive, hey, this would be cool to, like, get other ideas and advice. I know some people feel like counseling, for example, it's like, oh, you must be like, something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
If you go to counseling, it's like, you could go proactively.
You should. So I remember I had a grad school counselor, and she said the shame of counseling, the shame of an event like this, is people only go when they're in crisis. Yeah. And she said it's like waiting till you have the flu to go to the gym and start your new workout program. She said if people would look at each other and say, we are killing it right now, we could actually go meet with a therapist or a coach or whoever and learn some skills that we can actually hear. We're not in crisis. We can practice and laugh through things or be curious about things instead of being angry or whatever, and we could actually be in a helpful place. So if you are struggling or if you are rocking it, man, tonight in its place, it's hilarious. Rachel's funny, and we'll have a blast. But we're talking about new things. All this is new. Talking about new stuff. We're going to talk about sex. We're going to talk about relationship. We're going to get into it because people keep asking about it, right? Yeah. And we can't avoid it.
You're going to talk about the things that they deal with that they don't want to talk about, don't know how to talk about.
Well, and going back, you said it's gradual. I'll tell you, for me, like when you said people are scared to put themselves out there, I do this for a living, and I've found myself in different seasons. Sheila and I will celebrate 19 years next week, and there's seasons I was just scared to say it, and so I just don't. Right? And I don't know where this fear comes from. There's moments I've had to remind myself over the last almost 20 years. She said in front of all of our friends and family she wasn't going to leave, so I have to say this. Right? But I mean, it's this. I gotta build myself up for it, and how can we? That's tonight. We're gonna take all the air out of that, right? Facilitate it.
I've got a feeling about something, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. I feel like counseling or events like what we're talking about tonight for older generations, baby boomers, older generations. For them, it's that much more of like, this is a bad thing. My generation, I feel like, is much more open to counseling, to self-help, to personal development, podcasts, books, events, that type of thing. Have you seen that where like maybe some people that have been married a long time, they're that much less likely to attend an event like this because it means you're broken, it means like something's wrong with you? Or is that just, am I off base there?
No, you're 100% in. And almost more, I think now people are starting to get the message you're not broken, or it's not just for crazies or whatever that means. But they also, I don't have the energy or the capacity. I feel like I'm too exhausted to even think about doing something different. Besides, it's her fault or it's his fault. I'm not going to,
Wait, can we go so you can fix my spouse? That's how they all.
Right.
It's like, he needs to hear this. She needs to hear this.
And what I love to remind people is having sore knees, having 45 pounds that it's hard. Having a hard conversation with your spouse because y'all been on a hard trajectory, just turning the lights on and turning the music off and saying we need to talk, that's hard. Living less than, feeling like you can't breathe when your spouse is in the room, trying to avoid that Sunday afternoon dad because he's just that hulking presence, that's hard too. So at the end of the day, you're just choosing your hard, and I would rather people choose to walk a little taller and breathe a little deeper instead of just looking down the barrel of the next 15, 20 years and going, this is just the way that is, right? Nothing breaks my heart more than that statement. I guess this is just the way that is.
Yeah.
You don't have to be that way. And it's $30. It's $15 a person. And you don't have to leave your house, right? Come on.
So easy.
Join us
good.
tonight, man. And if you got questions about marriage, you got questions about anything in relationships, mental health, starting a business, friends, all of it, give us a shout.
This is The Ramsey Show.
We were drawn to Christian Healthcare Ministries because we both had young families and we wanted to have more children. And we had also just started a real estate company and needed to find healthcare coverage that would meet our needs.
We were attracted to CHM because of its low monthly costs and the ability to negotiate medical costs down.
Established in 1981 and accredited by the Better Business Bureau, CHM is here to meet the needs of your growing family or small business. Check us out at chministries.org/budget.
We absolutely believe in it.
Christy Wright, and hosting with me today is my good friend, Dr. John Deloney, and we're taking your calls about life, money, relationships, and time management. Give us a call, 888-825-5225. I also have a challenge for you, for those of you that feel like you never have enough time, like we all feel all the time. I want to give you some tips that's going to get you back 24 hours in your week. I promise. Text Time Finder to 33444. That's Time Finder to 33444. Take the challenge, and I promise you, you will get 24 hours back in your week, and you can do whatever you want with that time. All right, we're going to go to Sarah in Klamath Falls, Oregon, where I have spoken before. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How can John and I help today?
Oh, thanks for taking my call. My question is, what advice would you give someone who loves their job but recognizes that that job might not be good for their family?
What do you mean by that?
So I'm a wildland firefighter, and I've worked 50 hours of overtime this week. I have two little kids.
Yeah. Y'all have had a heck of a week, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. So is it just the amazing amount of hours and the unpredictable schedule? Is that what you mean in terms of why it's not good for young kids?
Yeah, primarily.
Yeah.
Is this seasonal? And I don't mean that in a silly way, but for the first responders that I've worked with and know personally, there is a fluidness or fluidity to their home life, meaning at any moment they can have to walk out the door, but there's also seasons where they're home a lot, right? And are there moments, like I know buddies who are police officers that work the third shift, and that stinks because they're leaving for work at midnight and getting off at 7, but also they get to take their kids to school every morning. So are there trades like that you can make, or are you starting to feel mortal and you're starting to feel, I don't want to make this balance
all the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is seasonal. My winters are way more flexible, which is awesome. I was able to, like you said, take my kids to school every morning and see them in the evening and kind of come and go as I please. But during fire season, I'm pretty much committed the whole summer.
So here's one of the things I want to suggest or offer, Sarah, and you can tell me if this resonates with you or not. But I love that John brought up the seasonality because there are a lot of careers, a lot of industries that have a seasonality to it. Let's use a completely opposite type of work. Accountants in the spring are working all the time in tax season, right? Like they don't see their kids a lot, and that's just the reality of the season. But they know, I actually use that exact example in my book. They actually know at the end of that season, when tax season's over and everything's wrapped up, there's going to be a lot more freedom, flexibility, and time. So there's this ebb and flow to it. And I think the thing that you have to think about is that a seasonality that you're okay with, that it's worth it to you because you love that job, or you want something more stable and predictable? I'm going to go out on a limb here, Sarah, no pun intended, but I'm going to go out on a limb and suggest that if you took this work to begin with, you're not the type of person that wants this predictable 9 to 5, whatever. You like this type of work. But what I want to encourage you is, and this is what I really try to teach people in my book, it is to take the pressure off that you have to do everything for an equal amount of time. You have to be a perfect mom going to school every day of the whole calendar year. But instead, balance comes from doing the right things at the right time. So you're in this season. The right thing right now is to do exactly what you're doing. And then the right thing in the winter is to take your kids to school and go on play dates and have fun in the afternoon. But when you begin to realize it's not that we're going to do everything for an equal amount of time, we're going to do the right things at the right time, then when you allow yourself to be present for those things when they're happening, you're not only more proud of those things because you're doing the right things at the right time. You're like, yeah, I rocked it at work because I was able to do this thing and make a huge difference because this is what's right now in this season. But you also shake the guilt of feeling like you should be doing anything other than that. And so if there wasn't a seasonality to it, to John's point, and you just worked 50 hours a week and never saw your kids for years and years on end, yeah, that's a different question. But if it's like, hey, this is the season for this. This is the season for what I do. Like an accountant or like anyone else that has a really hard season and an easier season, I think there might be something in that can set you free to be present for that and not feel so guilty if it's the work that you want to do. But you can tell me. I mean, if a more predictable schedule is appealing to you, that's an option for you too.
Well, I love my job, and I think the stress comes from my husband. He hates me doing this job. And so it's that added stress of trying to balance my marriage and knowing that he doesn't want me doing this.
Yeah, that's a whole different. John's going to just jump in here. That's a
Sarah,
big deal.
So to relieve you of any guilt, what Christy just said is dead on, and kids are incredibly resilient. They need stability and predictability and honesty. And so I see this with parents who are getting deployed, parents who are entering tax season. In my home, I looked on the calendar this week. I was hosting the Ramsey Show 3 times. I have a money and marriage event. I've got chapters of a book. I knew this week was going to be wild. And my family's taking a quick vacation next week. So we had a family meeting this week. And I said, hey, Hank, I'm not going to be able to go fishing. Josephine, we're not going to be able to go out in the woods and play baby dolls, whatever it is, crazy things she cooks up all the time. But here's the season, and they get it. It's when I try to pretend that I'm just being the same old dad, that this week's not been it. So kids are resilient. You have to be honest with them, and you got to have some predictability. And they know, hey, we're heading into fire season. We're going to have this great adventure. What kills me, and more importantly, your kids, is when there's a disagreement or a couple who are roommates or a couple who are not on the same page, and you use the kids as the excuse. And I'd much rather you face what I would consider a bigger dragon, which is sitting down with your husband and him saying, I'm scared to death that you're going to go to work and die. Or I can't do my job if I've got to be a dad plus during these seasons. Like, those are more honest conversations. The kids, if you're honest with them and you're predictable, are going to be great, especially if they've got another parent that's picking up that slack in those off seasons. It's when you and your husband start having that tension, the kids are going to absorb that, and that plus missing you is going to add a whole new layer of them trying to solve for that gap for the rest of their lives. And so you've got to sit down with your husband and say, we've got to have this hard conversation. Is he scared of you dying? Is he not like your schedule because he's missing his video game time? What is it?
I don't think he's particularly scared of me dying,
Okay.
But it's the schedule. It's the fact that he has to pick up the slack and he has to take care of the kids 24/7, and he doesn't get any of free time for himself.
Yeah, that's an issue that y'all need to address sooner rather than later.
That's what's really going on in your question. That's actually really your question.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what's really going on here, because I can't imagine how you could go to work guilt-free in your busiest season, Sarah, knowing not only is your heart at home with leaving your kids of all that is naturally goes into that being a mom, but also your husband's not supportive. That will eat away at you. And so getting on the same page, you and your spouse having those conversations, maybe it's with the counselor. Certainly stay on the line, and we'll give you a ticket to the Money and Marriage event tonight that Dr. John Deloney and Rachel Cruz are going to be leading. I'm sure there's going to be some teaching and some content and some tips that you can to give you a jump start to this conversation. But that piece of this is what needs to be fixed, and so that's what I would look at. I mean,
the trajectory here. They say it's 1 degree, and the car will eventually turn all the way around. The trajectory here is, man, this is on a path towards that frustration when he feels he's got to go pick up the kids.
The resentment.
You're helping somebody, and then you get that text from him, and you're frustrated that you feel like you have a job that's got meaning. This is a recipe for resentment. And if you've listened to me for 2 seconds, it's really hard to come back from relational resentment. It's just, man, your relationship's in ash. And yes, Christy, we'll address this specifically tonight.
Sarah, stay on the line. We'll give you a ticket to the Money and Marriage event tonight with Dr. John Deloney and Rachel Cruz. And for anyone else that wants to get your ticket, RamseySolutions.com. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey folks, I got a great option to help you pay for your education. The Army National Guard. The Army National Guard believes you are the next greatest generation because you have proven that even in adversity, that you have what it takes to succeed. That's why they offer benefits like tuition assistance, career training, and a paycheck to help you avoid debt. No matter what your goals are, the Army National Guard can help you get there. Visit nationalguard.com to find out more.
If you're struggling to keep up with payments, you know what it's like to be so scared and overwhelmed that you can't think straight. I have been there. I remember that feeling. The good news is you don't have to live like that. When you pay off your debt as fast as possible, like we teach people to do, you will never have that kind of stress in your life again. You can do this. And here's where you start. Financial Peace University. Millions of people have taken this class and learned how to pay off debt and take control of their money. And you can stream all 9 lessons right now. Or you can get some extra support by going through the class with other people. And the way that you get Financial Peace University is with a Ramsey Plus membership. You can get rid of the debt that's holding you back and end the cycle of worry and stress. To start your free trial of Ramsey Plus, just text trial to 33789. That's trial to 33789. If you're listening to this right now, by the way, if you are a Ramsey Plus member, you get all kinds of extra other perks like getting to view the Money and Marriage event tonight for free. Those are the types of things that we give to our Ramsey Plus members. Text trial to 33789 to start your free trial today. All right, we're going to go to Bradley in Utah. Hey, Bradley, how's it going?
Pretty good. Hey, I have a quick question for you. Me and my wife are in our last semester of college, and we have about $23,000 saved up. And we were just wondering what we need to do with that money. What would be a good thing to do? Would it be to keep it in the bank or to invest it or put it into something else?
Yeah, so let's walk through the baby steps. Do you have debt?
No.
No debt.
Very cool, man.
Awesome.
No debt.
Okay. Do you have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses?
Yeah, well, the $23,000, that's a year's worth of expenses.
Very cool.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And do you own a home or are you planning to buy a home?
We're renting right now, but we plan on buying one in a few more years.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, here's what I would do. I know that you don't have your timeline totally nailed down. If the timeline moves up for any reason where you want to buy a home sooner, then what you'll want to do is just leave that money in savings. Part of it, half of it, obviously, would be your emergency fund. The other half could be going towards a down payment on a house. If it ends up being, further out where it's going to be 5 years, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, where it's going to be longer, you can certainly work with an investment professional at RamseySolutions.com to just get that invested where it's earning a little bit more money than it would be in a savings account. But the whole point of savings is that you have access to it. It's not to earn interest. And so if you think you'll be buying a home in the next year or two, then just leave that money in savings. And then when a home comes available, certainly with the market being crazy like it is right now, you can kind of keep an eye on that. And then when you're ready to buy a home, you just continue to add to that savings, and that would be your down payment. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But in college, your number one job is to invest in yourself and get out of college debt free.
Yes.
And the number of students who have something come their way that last semester, whether it's, hey, someone out of the blue is going to call you for a job interview in some weird state, but you got to fund it to get there, or your car is going to fall apart, or they're going to jack your rent up, whatever. The goal is to get out debt free. So hang on. Yeah. Like Chris said, hang on to that money. Don't overthink it. Don't overdo it. Your job is just to get out debt-free. One of you is going to say, hey, what about grad school? Whatever happens, your job is to get out debt-free and then get into those baby steps.
Yeah, and you're doing it.
You're so far ahead. Yeah, man.
You're doing it now. The other thing that, and you make a good point, John, that I forgot to mention. When you're graduating college, you are in a transitional stage in life. So whether that's what job you're going to take or if you're going to buy a house, like there's going to be a lot of variables that are at play, and it's always good to have that cash in the bank. And you're not talking about a huge amount of money. We're talking about a very reasonable amount of money. And just have that cash in the bank to give you options, get out debt free, and then whatever your next step is, that cash is going to help fund that step. But great job. Way to go. All right, we're going to go to Sarah in Indianapolis. Hey, Sarah, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Good. How can John and I help?
Yes. So, Christy, I am a longtime follower and fan, and actually met you last year at the Business Boutique Conference.
Oh, awesome.
During the VIP luncheon. I had asked you a question about, like, how do you know when it's time to throw in the towel? Well,
I remember that.
A lot of advice.
I remember that moment.
I was crying, and I was
Sarah,
emotional.
I was crying. We were all crying. It was great.
Now I'm crying, Sarah.
Well, I took your advice, came back, redirected. My sales are like literally on fire this year. I had to take a month off because I had surgery. But over the first 6 months, I've grossed over $30,000, which is more than what I even did like all of last year.
You are amazing.
So I'm at the point where I am ready to hire help. I do know that my time, is being spent way too much on the business. But how do I know if I need to just hire some help to come into my house and help me a little bit here and there versus actually taking the plunge, getting a brick and mortar, and all of the expenses that then come with brick and mortar?
Yeah. So I want you to do something really simple, really practical to help you decide this. And it's not something we have time to do on this call, but you can do it on your own. And I'd be willing to bet you haven't done it only because it's kind of a pain to do it. But I just want you to compare what the role would be and what it would bring you. So for example, hypothetically, I would hire someone into my business for 20 hours a week. They would do this type of work that would give me back this much time and make me this much money. Or hypothetically, I would hire someone into my home that would do this type of work that would free up this much time, which would then free me to work on the business that would then bring me this much money. You're just going to do kind of a comparative analysis, and it's literally 2 columns, Sarah. Like, it's not complicated. It's not fancy. It's just comparing which one is more beneficial to you. And it may be something where you split the difference and you say, I'm going to bring someone in the business 10 hours, someone at home 10 hours, and then that's going to kind of divide and conquer. But I just really want you to compare them, because we can think, oh my gosh, like I'm drowning in housework. I need to have someone come into the house, which may be true, but really just feels overwhelming when it may be better spent to hire someone into the business that could actually bring in extra income. And then you get your kids and you're able to kind of take care of the house a little bit better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Because with the brick and mortar, you think, oh, it's out of the house. Now I won't have to be working, 12 hours a day. But then are you really? Because I think with the brick and mortar, you still are. Like, if you go on vacation and the place burns down, well, you have to figure out how to get back home, you know? And, and so it's like, is it really trading in stress and time and giving you more time back, I guess? So
it's like John Deloney said a little bit ago. It's not that it's not hard. It's just a different kind of hard. Sarah, stay on the line. I want to give you a ticket to our Business Boutique event this fall. I don't know if you have a ticket. If you do already, you can go ahead and gift that to someone. But I'm so stinking proud of you. You are rocking it. And what a great problem to have. Your business is taking off. You need help. I just want you to literally take a notepad, a pen, and write a couple columns. Okay, if I hired someone in the business, what would they do? And what would that bring me in time and in money? And then if I hired someone into my house to help me, what would that bring me in time? And then obviously potential money, assuming you're doing something else with that time that's now not spent in the home. So 2 columns, compare both options. It may be something that you pick one or the other, and it may be a little bit of both. But I think that's going to give you a little bit more clarity, because you're going to have actual numbers and not just a hunch and exhaustion to go on. Because I tell people all the time, tired decisions are never good decisions. But one other thing to consider is when you figure out what this person is going to do, be very clear on what the results you want to achieve. Be very clear on your job description, as we call it in EntreLeadership, key results area. What are they going to do? And define success for them and for you. whether you hire them in your home or in your business, and then you know what you're running towards, you know what the expectations are.
How do you put a premium on your time?
Yeah.
Like, how do you do that? Like, decide I'm worth this much an hour?
Well, we can talk about that after the break. I mean, it's not a formula. It's a bunch of variables you consider, and as you consider these variables together, you come up with a range.
Okay.
We can. That's a great idea. We'll unpack that after the break. This is the Ramsey Show. Christy Wright. Joining me today is Dr. John Deloney. We are taking your calls about life and money, relationships, and time management, all the things. Give us a call, 888-825-5225. If you want to pre-order my new book that just launched for pre-order on Monday, Take Back Your Time, the guilt-free guide to life balance. You can get your copy at RamseySolutions.com. And when you do, you will also get the ebook and the audiobook for free and a ticket to my live event September 14th. That's Take Back Your Time, the guilt-free guide to life balance. I want to help you take back your time.
Am I allowed to tell people that it's selling like bananas?
It is. We're surpassing our goals, which I'm so excited about. This is a pain point for people.
Hey, and goals at Ramsey are not goals.
No,
they are like, if you have goals, then if you work at Ramsey, they're tripled. And we don't shoot low for anything. And so for you to be exceeding goals is way up there. Congrats.
Thank you. It's definitely a team effort, that's for sure. And it just shows what it is.
This is cool. Just say it's awesome.
It's awesome. And it's such a pain point because we never have enough time, John. I don't, you don't, none of us do. And so I want to help people with that. So before we went to the break, you asked about how you put a value on your time.
Here's where I come from that. So I come from a background, which is if you hire somebody, it's because you're lazy.
Okay, that feels extreme, but go on.
Welcome to Christy. How long have we known each other? So, like, if you just figure it out and do it yourself, and mow your own yard, you fix your own car, you change your own oil, and then what I began to hear a few years ago, for folks who were getting into leadership, who were running their companies, who were busy, who were moms, who were dealing with kids, all of it, is you've got to come up with an hour of your, like, what is an hour of your work time worth? And if it exceeds that, you got to hire somebody else to do that because your time is. So if you can mow your yard, it takes 2 hours to do that, and you think that you're, like, if you do the math and you're worth $75 an hour, you need to pay somebody because it costs $30 to mow your yard, right? I never have been able to rationalize in my head, what does that actually look like? How would I come up with an hour amount for my time? Or if I'm going to hire an employee, right?
Right.
What's the right way to do that?
I think it depends on several. I mean, the way that you're asking. Okay, let me back up. When I teach women to price themselves, to price their products and services through Business Boutique, for example, in a business environment, we walk through several variables. So cost of goods sold, your talent, the quality of materials, the time it takes you. You take all these variables into consideration, the industry you're in and so on, when you come up with a range, what your competition is charging and so on. But what you're talking about is different. I actually use this interesting example in my goal planner. I have content, monthly themed content throughout. And in the month focused on time, which I actually believe is this month for those people that have the goal planner, I tell this story of this woman on a phone call whenever I was doing research, and she was telling me about how a doorknob broke in her house. And now you could go down to the local hardware store and get a doorknob for maybe $3 to $4. Like, these are not expensive things, but she really wanted to make it, like make a doorknob from scratch, fix it, make it something. So she's like Googling and YouTubing, and she's getting all the little springs and all the little parts and pieces, whatever. And after about 30 hours, she makes this doorknob for, like, I don't know, $1.27. And she was so proud of herself that she saved like $2, right? And like as she's telling me the story, I'm going like, I feel like maybe she's missing the point.
But you lost $1,000 of your soul, right?
Right. But I think there's something interesting, and again, not to pick on older generations, but from the older generations, certainly my mom's generation, I know Matt's parents, I see this in them. It's a do-it-yourself. It's a do-it-yourself generation. They grew up, they didn't have as much, and so they're like, no, we're not going to waste food. My dad does not waste food at the dinner table. You better eat it, or you're ungrateful. And because of that culture and that context and that even worldview that they grew up in and that experience that they had, it is harder for them to value their time. Whereas Matt and I, it might be easier for us to pay someone to mow our lawn because we're going, well, I could pay someone this much money, or I could, have the evenings with my kids.
Gotcha.
And you put it. So for me,
and you're in a position to, like our grandparents were in the Great Depression. There wasn't, right?
100%.
They don't have that.
100%. But even if they're out of that, even like my dad has money,
but it stays with you.
Still won't spend it.
Yep.
And so I think it's interesting how that shapes your worldview. But you have to ask yourself. It's a cost benefit type of thing. It's not just if I'm going to put $75 an hour on me, for example, in your lawn example. Then if I pay someone to mow the lawn at $30, it doesn't mean I have to go spend that time making money.
No, I got you.
But what is the value of time with my kids in the evening or time, whatever. So.
And I've also learned that I used to do it to save that $2. That her story reminds me of me. Mm-hmm. I'm going to spend a week doing a thing that should have taken $5 in 30 minutes. Right. Once I shifted it from a scarcity mindset, if I don't, like, we need that $5 here because what I like learning hard things and I like figuring stuff out.
Where
and it becomes a hobby.
Totally.
Then I love it. And then I can high five myself, but it's not an identity anymore.
Right. And it's not a cost saving move. This is a fun project move. And that's just a different way to approach it. All right. We're going to go to Brenda in Amarillo. Hey, Brenda, how are you?
Hi. I'm doing fine. How are you today?
Great. How can John and I help?
Okay. I am high-functioning autistic.
Okay.
And I am extremely talented in a number of areas.
Okay.
I write, I paint, I sketch, I design, I draw, and I cartoon.
Cool.
Outstanding.
And I write songs.
Awesome.
I just don't know how to make my talents work for me.
Okay, what do you want to do? Which one of those, not that you have to totally pick, but is there one of those that you enjoy more than others that you want to really focus on?
I like music and I like my books.
Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to give you some really simple advice, Brenda. And I think this is going to help you make progress. And this is the same advice, by the way, I would give any woman in your shoes. This is not different for you because you're high-functioning autistic. This is just what is a good step to take if you want to do something that you're not sure how to do, but you have talent there. And that is to spend time with people that are doing what you want to do. We talked about this earlier with Ken Coleman and his book, The Proximity Principle, which we can send you as well. If you stay on the line, Kelly will send that to you. But the idea is if you spend time around people that are doing what you want to do, you're going to learn so much about what you need to do. And most people, Brenda,
I have done that.
Okay.
I have spent time around people, and they say that my work should have been published long ago.
So are you asking how to publish a book or just in general how to make money at your talents?
How to publish, how to get my songs out there. I am not good with computers, okay? So, I took 3 years of it. I was ready to bounce them down the stairs. Okay. I have had compliments, and actually, whenever I was early in my career or trying to make my career, I met Bob Singer. He's the guy who did the Flintstones, the Jetsons, Yogi Bear, worked for Hanna-Barbera Productions.
Cool.
And he gave me a cartoon that of a Flintstones elephant, and it's standing on a cliff, and it said, Brenda, would you like to be my understudy here at the studio? You see, I've got this cliff to jump over. I did not know that was an offer.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Well, here's the thing, Brenda. Whether it's that offer or something else, you have the potential, you have the talent, you have the opportunity. It might just be taking some very small, unimpressive steps. And maybe that's finding a high school student that can do the computer side of things for you, getting you a blog or social media, publishing your work where you can start to get exposure and eyeballs. Because even if you publish, you need someone to sell to. So creating a little bit of an audience, and certainly online is a great way to do that.
And there in West Texas, you can play 1,000 different places, play your songs.
Yeah.
You can self-publish. There's a million different things you can do.
Stay on the line. I'm going to have Kelly send you my book, Business Boutique, as well. That's going to show you step-by-step marketing that you could do to get your work out there, and then watch how those small steps begin to snowball, and it turns into that thing you want to do, but it might just be one small step at a time. I want to thank producers James Child, associate producer Kelly Daniel, and my co-host, Dr. John Deloney. This is The Ramsey Show.
Did you know you can listen to The Ramsey Show on your smart speaker? Just tell Alexa, Google Assistant, or Siri to play The Ramsey Show podcast. Check out all Ramsey Network shows on your smart speaker today.
This is The Ramsey Show. You can be intentional about your character. You can have money and a career. You are the hero in your story.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, broadcasting from the Dollar Car Rental Studio, this is The Ramsey Show, where America hangs out to have a conversation about your life and your money. I'm Christy Wright. I'm a business coach, author, and speaker, and I'm joined today by Dr. John Deloney, who is also the host of the Dr. John Deloney Show and author of it's a lot of words. Author of Redefining Anxiety.
It's my name.
Dr. John, lots of D's. I don't know. It's Friday at 3 o'clock. That's what's going on. We are taking your calls about your life, your money, your anxiety, your time management, whatever you want to talk about. We are here for you.
Your ability to pronounce names.
I'm going to practice after this.
Are you?
No. 888.
Listen to this, America. Christy Wright. I learned that in grad school. 888-825-5225. Call with anything.
With your questions. We are here for you. John Deloney. Nailed it. Has an event tonight called Money and Marriage, where he and Rachel Cruz are going to be helping you in your money and in your marriage. It's a live stream, a digital date night tonight at 7:30 Central Time. You can go to RamseySolutions.com to get your ticket, which brings me to a question I have for you, Dr. John Deloney. I got a question on social media from Kathy, and Kathy Brooks asked me this. She said, how do I get my spouse on board? Now, we get this question about business. I get this question a lot through Business Boutique, women that are starting side businesses, home-based businesses, small businesses. How do I get my spouse on board with my dream? We get this call all the time on The Ramsey Show. How do I get my spouse on board with the plan? How do I get my spouse on board with the baby steps? Whatever. We just had a call in the last hour. How do I get my spouse on board with my career? They're not supportive of my career in that example. I want to hear from you. I know it's a super general question, but do you have certain either questions or conversation starters, or like, here's where to start from. Here's how to start and not make them mad out of the gate. Here's how to start on like a really good footing for a hard conversation when you want something and they don't want that thing. I know it's a big question, but help us out.
In my head, in counseling, we talk about the presenting issue. Somebody comes to therapy, somebody comes to see a counselor in some sort of crisis and says, I've got anxiety. Mm-hmm. I can't get my heart rate under control. I can't get myself out of bed. I want to fix that. Mm-hmm. And normally you back up or you begin to unravel that, pull those threads, and you realize, oh, you talk to yourself in a certain way, and who told you that this was your value, right? So there's bigger things here. Mm-hmm. Well, what I often see in this situation is somebody looks at a thing. Mm-hmm. my husband won't get on board with what I want to do with my job, or on this show especially, I want to be debt free, and my husband says that's stupid. I'm not doing that. And they want to solve that issue, and that's not the issue, right? So anytime I've got a quote unquote issue in my house, I always want to go to what's the layer beneath the layer beneath the layer.
The issue below the issue.
Right.
Yeah.
So for instance, in my house, my wife is clearly, if you listen to me for 8 seconds, clearly she's the one who is smarter and organized and on time. I'm a little bit of a human hurricane, but let's pretend that she's the one. So instead of coming and saying, hey, why won't you be on the Dave Ramsey plan? It's ridiculous. I want to get out of debt. I would sit down not on the back end of a fight, right, where everybody's amped up, nobody's listening. Now we're just trying to run or trying to fight. And I would say, I'm terrified that we are one flat tire away from not being able to feed our kid. I'm one fight away at work from getting laid off, and we got nothing. And I don't know how to say these words, but I'm scared. And this feels like a way that we could provide some margin in our life, that I could breathe, that I want to show up here and be present. And I haven't figured out a way to be present yet because I can't breathe, because we owe $75,000 in student loans, and we just keep buying and buying and buying. And when I come to the table with vulnerability first, and you got to remember that word literally means for an animal, think of a porcupine, to roll over and expose its belly. You can be hurt. And I've heard husbands get the courage to say the words, I'm scared, and their wives are like, oh, you're some kind of wimp, right? So it happens, and vice versa. But that is the way, that is the issue. The issue is I'm terrified. Yeah. The issue is I don't want my kid to grow up in a situation I grew up in. Yeah. Whatever, that becomes the thing. Yeah. And then we can talk about the vehicle by which we get out of this thing, which, for instance, the Dave Rants, it works every time. Yeah. Right? So that becomes, like, I can imagine in your world, and I'm you and I have never talked about this, but if my wife came to me and said, I'm doing this side business and I want to do this, and you're going to have to figure out how to, it's almost an attack versus I've got this passion. I want to explore this value. There's a part of me that has never been explored professionally and creatively. Yeah. How could we make this work together? Yeah. Oh my gosh, I want to be all in on that.
Right. And I think that's probably what happens in the relationships in the conversations more often than not, where one person is scared to approach it. Maybe you have a more dominant personality or whatever. And so they don't come in with guns blazing of, I want to start this side business. Usually it's like scared to bring it up at all. And I think that, putting some language to that, I love how you talked about fears, because if I can look back on any of Matt and I's discussions about things that we didn't agree on initially, or we had to work through it and it was not an easy decision, or whatever the thing was, where I thought it should be this and he thought it should be this. And we've had plenty of those, like every, marriage does. When we start to say, what are you afraid of? What does this represent to you? Then it's actually not about the decision at all. Whether we do this or that, spend this money or that, whatever it is, it's like, this represents this to me. Right. This makes me scared that this is going to happen. And if you can begin to address, well, here's how we could do this and that wouldn't happen, or here's how we could do this and this is not what that is, then it solves it, like you said, at the deeper issue. And it's amazing how many of our conflicts have been resolved by asking those questions around, this was what this represents to me, or this is what my fears are around this. Another thing I would say, just to give some language to the people listening right now that may feel like they don't have as much of a voice in the marriage, or they're the ones that they feel like, I'm scared to bring this up. Sometimes your spouse isn't supportive, not because they don't want to be, but because you have not made it clear that this is important to you. And so just those words, this is important to me. Right. Whether it's this business, this money plan, whatever. It's not to say that that's going to be all of a sudden that's just an ace, that's just the trump card that all of a sudden they're going to be on board. But it should, if they are a good spouse, if they are, love you and value, they should lean in. Right. If Matt comes to me and says, this is important to me, I am all ears. Yeah. I'm a different level of engaged and paying attention and trying to find how we can solution this thing that is important to the person I love most.
And that line at the end of an hour-and-a-half discussion, an hour after everybody usually goes to bed, and somebody's crying and somebody's yelling, that yelled, this is important to me, is not helpful. No. That is I want to go out to breakfast, I want to go to dinner and talk about something that's really important to me, right? And here's the hard truth of these conversations. You have to have an or what statement. I want to have another kid. I want to get out of debt. You better have in your back pocket an or what. Like, Are you going to leave? Was that what you're really going to do? Or are you going to be in this marriage no matter what? You've got to be prepared for that or what statement.
That's hard. It's good. This is The Ramsey Show.
Stop paying your overpriced wireless provider and switch to Pure Talk. They use the same network as the larger providers for much less. For just $30 a month, get unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data with no contract. The average family saves over $70 a month by switching to Pure Talk. Just go to puretalk.com and enter the promo code Ramsey to save 50% off your first month. Pure Talk, simply smarter wireless.
You don't have enough time. I do a lot of times. John, you feel like you don't have enough time?
I feel like you're asking me a pointed question.
We all struggle with this idea of having enough time for all the things that you want to do. Time is finite. You only get 24 hours in a day. But I've got a challenge for you to help you actually get 24 hours back in your week. You can text Time Finder to 33444. That's Time Finder to 33444. Take the challenge. I give you a different tip every day for 7 days that will help you get back truly 24 hours in your week. All right, we're going to go to Celinda in Duluth, Minnesota. Hey, Celinda, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Good. How can John and I help today?
I was just wondering, how do you know when is a good time to sell a business?
Well, tell me what's going on. Tell me what your business is and why you want to sell.
Well, I have an e-commerce business, and I've heard two rumors that e-commerce businesses are selling for a higher price right now because of the boom. And then also with an inflation and stuff, I'm afraid that maybe the business will start going down and lose value. So kind of wondering if that's a good reason to consider selling or not.
Okay. Well, how long have you had this business?
For 3 years.
Okay. What's your net profit annual?
About $250,000.
Okay.
Do you like this job? Or
that depends on the day.
Did you create this business with the intention of selling it?
Yes, that is the intention.
Okay.
It's kind of to help fund the retirement someday when we sell it.
Gotcha. Do you have offers on the table?
No, and we haven't listed or anything. It's just my husband and I are considering whether we should or not.
Yeah. How old are you?
I'm 39.
Well, here's what's interesting about selling your business, Celinda, and this is something that you can think about for yourself. I certainly can't tell you, but there's two major factors in selling your business. Timing is not one of them, in my opinion. I mean, it is a factor, but it's not a major factor. The major factors would be the financial, right? Like, what are you going to make off of this sale? The other one that I would consider a major factor when you're a business owner, this is your baby, you built this thing up, is the emotional aspect of it. How you will feel when it's gone, how you will feel when someone else is running it. You may feel incredible relief, like, yes, oh my gosh, I can't wait. And you may be like, I'm kind of sad. I wasn't quite ready yet. I jumped the gun because I thought the timing was good or whatever. There's an aspect of looking at timing that is wise, but I never want people to make a major decision like that, and that's a major decision, with a scarcity mindset. Like, you can't sell it in 3 years or you can't sell it in 5 years. Hypothetically, if you do it right, the value should only go up and you can sell it for more later. So I'm not opposed to you selling it now. I just don't think you have to sell it now. I don't want you to make the decision to sell it now out of fear because you think that you're not going to get as much or more later, because I don't think that's true. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And I think a lot of what sparked it was the market's good now, but it might not be later.
Yeah. I don't think
enjoy it, and it is giving us a very good income.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's a great income. Here's the thing, Celinda, if you are not, if there's not a time sensitive reason to sell it now in your personal life or your business life, I would not let a scarcity mindset about the market drive you to make a major decision like that, because you can sell it later. You're only going to grow it. E-commerce is not going anywhere. It's only growing as well. And so I think it's one of those things that it's not never, it's just not right now. If you came to me and you said, hey, here's all the reasons for I'm ready to retire. I'm tired of the business. I don't enjoy it. I want out. And the market's good. Cool. That's a totally different question. But if you're having fun and it's bringing in a good income and the only reason you're thinking about it is because of the market, I would say hold. I'd say stay in it, keep that awesome income, keep growing it. And then when you're ready personally, as a family, you're ready to retire, you're ready to let go of it fully, then you think about selling it, and you're still going to make a great, great income on the sale of that business. I hope that helps. But you're in a great position, and way to go for growing this business.
That's awesome.
To a net profit of $250,000. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible. Well done. All right, we've got Emily in Grand Rapids. Hey, Emily, how are you?
Hi, I'm well, Christy. How are you?
Good. How can John and I help today?
Short version. Sorry, I'm kind of nervous.
No, you're great.
We're nervous too. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. And I was just listening to you, John, on YouTube, so this is even weirder to hear you on YouTube.
Actually everywhere.
His whole thing is weird.
He's everywhere.
Go
wild. So, okay. So my husband and I are in baby steps 4 and 6. We don't have kids. We've been in our career path for more than 10 years, and we both hate it and want to do something else. And an opportunity has come for us to move across the country to take a completely different job, and I'm wondering if this is a fun opportunity and adventure that we should jump on, or if it's just foolish and impulsive and we should be more thoughtful about picking up and leaving.
What's the opportunity?
So my brother lives in West Virginia, and he works for a natural gas company on the pipeline, and he can get my brother a job down there. So my brother's been wanting us to move to West Virginia for the last year, and now a job came up, and he's like, when are you moving? Are you going to apply? When are you moving? When are you going to do it? So now it's like, we'd have a job. Should we do it? Or is it just too impulsive to up and leave and quit our jobs? And I've never lived more than an hour from my hometown, and I'm all nervous, but also this sounds like a good push to do something else. And if we hate it, we can always move back.
If you hate it, you're in the jobs you are in right now, you hate. What do you do now?
Yeah.
I am a clinical microbiologist. So I grow fungus and tuberculosis and herpes and anything else that comes out of you or off of you. Or
that's crazy. You're really smart.
No.
That is really cool.
So here's the rationale my wife and I just used. We lived in Texas every day of our life, and then we got this opportunity to come work at an extraordinary world-class university here in Nashville. And we use the exact same thing that you just said. If we come out here and it's a bust and it's a disaster, we can just move back. And we both
find something else.
We both have skills, and we were fortunate that we didn't hate where we were. You've got that added pressure. You've got the right spirit behind this, which is if we go to West Virginia and it's a disaster, you can grow herpes. I don't even know what that means. You can grow fungus, right? Surely you can. There's other places you can grow that. So you've got a set of transferable skills. You've got a million different things you can do. And Christy's right. You hate where you are now. And so you've got a great job. You've got family connections when you get there. If it's not going to be a toxic, nonsensical environment, here's the thing. I'm all for it. And so do the wild thing, the sensible, crazy thing, if that makes sense. And I love your heart behind it. This isn't a forever thing. Give yourself 2 to 3 to 4 years. Go for it. And then If it's a disaster move, here's the thing about you. It won't be a disaster. It'll be great. And there'll be parts about it that are hard. And there'll be parts about it that you never experienced and you loved. And you'll be lonely and you'll find new friends. And all of it will be challenging and exciting. It's just going to be, is that what you want to keep doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
we put so much existential pressure on these things that just doesn't need to be there.
Right. Well, and it seems like all the variables you should consider line up to move. You don't have kids, so you're not worrying about school zones.
You hate your life.
You hate your jobs, so we're not leaving something we love. We're moving closer to family, and you've got a job waiting on you. Even if that job was a stepping stone job, like, hey, we're going to do it. We may not love it either, but it's going to get us closer to family and be a new adventure, and then we find something new. We grow fungus in the new place. Like, that's cool. That's exciting. And you're in baby steps 4 and 6. Like, yeah, I say do it. I don't think it's irresponsible. I say do it. You're leaving a job you hate.
Yes.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it. This is The Ramsey Show. Insurance companies love to play the game where they see just how high they can jack up your rates for no reason. Real fun, right? Good news is it's not hard to beat them at their own game. All you have to do is check up on your policy every year or two to make sure you're getting the best price for your coverage. That's it. And what's even easier, not to mention free, is that you can hire one of our endorsed local providers or ELP insurance agents to do this for you. They are independent agents who shop to find you the best coverage free of charge. They don't work for one insurance company, meaning they have the freedom to shop as many policies as it takes to find the one that's right for you. Don't sit back while your insurance company raises your rates for no reason. Text AUTO to 33789 and put a trusted ELP agent on your team. That's AUTO to 33789. All right, we're going to go to Gina in Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, Gina, how are you?
Hi, Christy and Dr. Deloney. Thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
Well, I have been a stay-at-home mom for the last 5 or so years, and I just got a job offer today. And so I'm wondering not only, opening this new chapter of my life, but as far as financially, we're going to have a second income. So I'm kind of wondering, it's opening this whole new world to us. So just maybe some direction.
Sure. Well, that's exciting. I'm assuming you're excited about this?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. What are you going to be doing?
I will be a personal trainer and a nutrition coach, which is finally what I want to do.
Cool.
So.
Well, congratulations. That is super exciting.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we guide people when it comes to money on the baby steps. And so are you familiar with the baby steps?
Yes, actually, we are debt-free except for the house.
Awesome.
So we're looking to invest and kind of move down that route. And also there's things that now we have the opportunity to save for, like a bigger car and a roof on our house and
sure.
The practical things. So.
Sure. Well, here's what's so great. So now when you do your monthly budget, you're going to incorporate this new income into it. And so what that means is you're definitely going to have some more money to play on and just enjoy as you should for your work and the work from staying home and the work that you now have out in this new job. But also you're just going to be able to get a little bit more aggressive with your goals at baby steps 4, 5, and 6. So when you're investing, if you're not already investing 15%, you want to invest 15% total of your household income, your take home. And then you're also going to want to put that money into a college fund if you haven't already started that. Have you started that yet?
We have, yes.
Okay, cool. So you continue to contribute to that, and then the rest is just put it towards your house. And so you can pay off your home early. You can put extra mortgage payments. You can if you've got one big lump sum you want to put on it, you can. If not, you can just pay more each month on your mortgage. And so really what this is doing, Gina, is it's just giving you a bigger shovel towards your goals. So your goals are the same. You're on baby steps 4, 5, and 6. You're definitely going to have a little bit more freedom in your budget. But as you incorporate that in, I think you'll find that you're making more traction on those baby steps even faster and having fun in the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. Go ahead.
Hey, Gina, can I throw some unsolicited advice your way?
Yes.
So one of the things I see couples who one of them's returning to the workforce and everybody's excited because they do the math. What that often gets lost is the rhythm of a household, the rhythm of their relationship. And so I want you guys to build in on your calendar at least a weekly check-in. No kids, no calendar, no budgets, just a talking with each other for an hour, whatever that looks. Look each other and I say, how are we doing? How are we? How's work? And I want you to be able to say, whew, I'm excited to be back in the workforce. It is way more tiring than I thought. Or I'm 3 weeks in and you are not helping like you said you were going to. And he's allowed to say, yeah, the business is about to get busy. We may need to make some other, but I want you all to create a rhythm where you are checking in with each other because this is going to affect more than your money. And I see couples all the time just look at that bottom line. They high five each other. We're going to get new cars, the new roof. We're going to pay our house off in 2 years. And then suddenly their marriage is on life support 18 months later because they didn't anticipate the extra shift in the relationship. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely. And we've already kind of had the conversation, eased into it a little as far as, you're going to have to be doing a little bit more, and he's totally on board. So,
okay. So that can be a great primer, but you're going to have to be specific. And when things aren't being done, then you're going to have to be vulnerable and say it. And he's going to have to say the words, I'm sorry. And all. So be specific. Like you're going to have to pick up some slack. I got it. Man, that's a recipe for flying by each other in the night, right? So set up some very direct, here's what I need you to do, here's some help I need, here's some support I need, and we're going to work on this together.
Let's talk about this, John, because this is a really interesting point. And I always refer to this because it was so helpful for me. You talk about when you're communicating with your spouse or anyone, but specifically in marriage, visualize what something looks like. I use this all the time, like, hey, what do you want to do on Saturday? Let's have fun. Yeah. And we agree. And then our idea of fun is not the same. So you say visualize it, like in pictures. I think this could be even really helpful for this because, Gina, in your example, when you say you're going to have to pick up a little more, I think it would be a good exercise for you to define what that means. Are there specific things you expect your husband to do and need him to do and want him to do, and certain things you want to do? And then get on the same, when y'all have these conversations and check-ins, have him speak into that as well. Like, what does this look like? Because I think that he may hear that. And he may do a couple things. And he's like, well, I did it.
Twice.
I did a little bit more. Yeah, like one time. Remember that was so great? That one time I did that one thing. And he feels like he's hit the mark. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but he feels like he's hit the mark. That's right. And you're resentful because you're doing all the same stuff you did before because y'all were used to a rhythm and roles that you had. And now that you're going back to work, there has to be very clear, like, here's what I would like to see happen. These are the things I want to still do. These are the things I would like for you to do. Here's the things we do together. So like, I travel, Gina. And so one of the things that Matt and I've talked about before is, hey, Matt, like, I'm so grateful that you were able to hold down the fort and all the things while I'm gone. One of the things that is like really kind of frustrating to me is if I come home and there's a house is a total wreck.
Yes.
Because it's like I'm coming home.
I've never had that talk in my house.
Coming home to a wreck. I know it doesn't have to be spotless. Like, we don't have to have grocery stocked, but like, if you could just not have it be a wreck, that would be awesome. And then he'll say to me like, hey, these are the things that I really hate doing. Can they just be your things? And I'm like, cool, yeah, they can. And you just both speak into expectations with unbelievable specificity. Speak into that and be very clear. And then I think what you'll find, Gina, is the conflicts, the resentment, the disagreements are much, much less because you had those conversations. But congratulations.
Yeah,
congratulations on your new job. Congratulations on being just a champion the last 5 years home with your kids. That is I can't even imagine how hard that season was. That is a thankless job of the diapers and dishes, and it just all happens the next day. And so you have done that successfully, and now you're in this new season, and we're super excited for you. So have those conversations, do the budget, and I think it'll be great.
Here's 2 examples from my house. One, if in the past Sheila said, hey, I need you to help with the dishes, and I'll say, got 'em.
Sure.
Monday goes by. I'm thinking help with the dishes.
Someday.
Listen, there's still a cabinet full of cups. There's nobody out of cups in this house. They're right there. And for her, she cannot close her eyes at night if there's still cups out.
This is the thing.
If there's still dishes in the sink.
I'm so urgent. If I ask Matt to do something, I don't understand why it hasn't happened in the next 3 seconds. He's like, chill out. Like, give me a minute. I'm like, I'm sorry, I meant right now.
Yeah. If I can't see them over the top of the sink, we got plenty of space. I open the drawer. There's still spoons there. There is no need for dishes. And if there's spoons in, right? And so it's about that specificity.
Be so clear.
And then here's the other thing. So this comes a lot with intimacy. Like when you're first dating, you're first married, you're just infatuated with each other. You're all over each other. And then you meet with couples 2, 5, 10 years in, and it feels less romantic to have to schedule intimacy on the counter. Similarly, yet very different, now when my wife is coming home from being out of town, she will text and say, 4-hour warning. Then she will text, 2-hour warning. I will be home in 1 hour. And that is I need this place clean. I know you've turned this into a bachelor pad. You've got 4 hours, 2 hours. But it's her helping me. It would be great if she just showed up and it was all clean. It's not going to happen, so she helps me out.
Help me help you. This is
Help me help you.
The Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day is 1 Thessalonians 5:18. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. And our quote is from Sheryl Sandberg. You will be defined not just by what you achieve, but by how you survive. All right, I am hosting today with Dr. John Deloney. One more segment. If you want to give us a call, 888-825-5225. We are taking your calls about life and money. Want to remind you, John Deloney and Rachel Cruz have an event tonight, Money and Marriage. You can get your tickets at RamseySolutions.com. It is a live stream event tonight at 7:30 Central Time. And my new book, Take Back Your Time, The Guilt-Free Guide to Life Balance, is available for pre-sale, and you can get your copy at RamseySolutions.com. All right, Blinds.com 100% satisfaction guarantee means that even if you mismeasure or pick the wrong color, they'll remake your blinds for free. You get free samples, free shipping, and with the new promo codes they run every month, you'll save even more. Use the promo code Ramsey to get the best deal. Rules and restrictions apply. Today's question comes from Pam in New Jersey. My 2 sisters and I will eventually inherit a sizable estate that includes not only investments, but real estate. One sister and I do not see eye to eye on most areas, especially money. How do I avoid confrontation or deal with high emotions when it comes to this sort of inheritance? John Deloney. This is your specialty. Yeah. Avoid confrontation. Well, that seems like that's not possible in this situation.
You're not going to avoid confrontation.
Or high emotions.
You're not going to avoid high emotions. You're going to have to be highly intentional way, way upstream. So you say eventually inherit. And so these questions are always hard because I want to know a little bit more information.
You want more information.
I want to know, is the person you're inheriting this from able to sit down and dictate what's going to happen now? Are they incapacitated and suddenly are having to come to terms with the fact that we're about to inherit this stuff? There's 2 things you can do here. Number 1, you can go with your sister. Me and my brother did this. We went out one night and we spent a long night together just saying, I was leaving Texas. And I looked at him. He lives in the same town as my parents, and said, "I'm out. I'm the older brother here. I want to make sure we're on the same page." And he was so thoughtful and had so much thought out that I hadn't planned for. And I mean, it was just such a gift to hear what an amazing man my little brother was. He's a little brother. He's in his he's old now. But we sat down and had a heart-to-heart about it. And so I would recommend, Pam, just so you can sleep at night, to go out and say, we're going to inherit this. We know that we do money differently. How are we going to approach this? Here's what this is going to look like. Assuming that doesn't work, then you're going to need to get a third party, whether that's an attorney. You're going to need to sit down and decide, hey, can we look at this will so we know who's going to be the person who's the executor and all. Do as much of that upstream as you can. You are right. Once somebody dies and there are checks and zeros in real estate, it is a free-for-all. It's emotional. It's a disaster. So the more the stuff you can handle upstream, the better.
Yeah, the solution to so many of the things we have been talking about today and questions that we've gotten on the Ramsey Show is to talk about it.
Intentionality, yeah.
Talk about it. So many people just try to avoid talking about things. And if you would talk about it, now granted, you need to talk about it in the right way with the right heart and ask the right questions and find the common ground. But man, avoiding confrontation, avoiding high emotions, avoiding conflict, avoiding communication is not the way to do it.
And if you have this conversation and it is a train wreck, that's information. That's data, right? Mm-hmm. Now you know this is not going to be amicable. This is not going to be a simple solution, or we're not going to be on the same page here. Now I've got to go invest in a lawyer. Now I've got to go invest in fill in the blank, right? I got to go do some other things. But until then, it's just this cloud of anxiety and anxiousness and frustration and anger, and then it's just a mess.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know how to proceed.
It's data,
even
right?
if it goes bad, you know how to proceed. All right, let's go to Melanie in San Francisco. Hey, Melanie, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Good. How can John and I help today?
Well, I've been debating on calling for a long time. I just got on to Dave Ramsey probably 2 months ago from one of my agents in my brokerage that I work for. And I am 28 years old. I have 2 kids under 2, and I've been married for 5 years. We've been together for 8. And I just kind of hit a spot where I found no motivation. I don't feel like I'm worth a lot, like I'm just a mom. And I know that sounds so loaded. I struggle with anxiety a lot, and I've been struggling lately with self-doubt. And being a new realtor with nothing under my belt, it's hard to get out there to get your first listing or get your first buyer. And I've been doing this I got my license in October, and I had my son a week later. So I've been really doing this for maybe 7 months, like all the time. And I just don't know if it's right for me. I don't know. I go back to, this is what I worked so hard for. I went to school. I paid this off. It's all ready. But it's the self-doubt that gets me. My husband I love him to death, and I'll spend the rest of my life defending him, but he just has no goals. He has no aspirations. He's just happy and content. And I'm mom, and he's dad. He goes to work, he comes home, and I do everything. And I hate to say that, but I don't know. How do I go about getting my husband on the same page about getting debt free? Because I guess I'm just looking for insight.
Yeah, Melanie, first of all, it's funny, even on the break, John and I were talking, and I was talking about just in Matt and I's journey, we had 2 kids 1.5 years apart, and I remember that year. Melanie. Like
it's the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yes, it is. It about broke us, and I hear it in your voice.
My husband and I are at right now, and I talked to him the other day. I broke, and I said I'm not happy. Something needs to change. I'm not happy, and I was such a fun, outgoing, social butterfly. I would talk to anybody, and now I'd rather just stay home, with my kids. And
yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong for calling. I don't know.
No, you're not at all.
I'm so glad you called. I want John to take this. This is his specialty, but I just want to encourage you one thing, because I was literally just in your shoes a few years ago, and I know everybody says it, Melanie, but it's true. This is a season. This is where you are. This is not who you are. Your season does not define you. You are in a season of little kids that are absolutely consuming. You are exhausted. Mm-hmm. That is where you are. That is not who you are. And I promise you, it will get easier. John can take this from the anxiety and the self-doubt angle, but I'm just saying with the little kids, like I hear it in your voice. I was you, and I swear as I sit here today, it does get easier. You are still that fun girl, and you will go out and be fun again. You are just in a season that is exhausting, and I promise you it will get easier.
I can take all of the clinical expertise on planet Earth, and none of that matters like hearing from a mom who's just been there.
My husband and I also, too, I don't like talking about it because I don't want anybody to feel pity for me, because I don't want any pity. We lost our son at 41 weeks during delivery 4 years ago. And since that moment happened, we just kind of coexist. That's what it feels like to me. I love him to death, and he is my husband, yes, but we just coexist at this point. And I want to save my marriage, and I want to get debt free and buy a house and do all these things, but
that's right.
It's very difficult.
So you're taking on the world right now. And it's like your boat is sinking, and you're also thinking about a mortgage, and you're thinking about where your kids are going to go to college. And right now, you've got to get to shore, okay? You are exhausted. And that's focus number one. So I want you to get some time with your husband. Y'all get away and find somebody to come sit with you, with your little kids. You can get 48 hours, and I want you just to be with each other. Christy's right. This conversation, who we're going to become and what we're going to be and all that, your body's going to become yours again. Your heart's going to become yours again. Your mind will become yours again. And then you will have a season where you have solid ground. You can work on your marriage. That's not today. Today is about
survival. You got this. And we'll be praying for you, Melanie. Stay on the line. Kelly will give you a ticket tonight if you want to view it tonight or anytime later, just to encourage you and give you that kickstart to have that conversation. I want to thank producer James Childs, Kelly Daniel.
Hey,
this
it's
is
Kelly,
The Ramsey
associate producer and phone screener for The Ramsey Show. If you would like to do your debt-free scream live on the show, make sure you visit theramseyshow.com and register. We would love for you to come to Nashville and tell Dave your story.